Hi, I'm going to do a quick review on the Luna Ethereal Visions Tarot deck. I was just organizing this deck to make sure all of the cards were upright, and I just wanted to do a quick short video about just my personal experience with this deck. As a little bit of a background, I've been reading tarot for about 5 years off and on. And so I'm not a really big tarot deck collector. I've had some decks, but I'm very selective about the decks that I purchase. And I don't like trendy decks. I just like classic traditional decks usually. And so I say that because I think that how we view tarot, how we view deck collection can affect how we review different decks and why we like them and why we don't like them. And I think that as a new tarot reader, if you're new to reading tarot cards, I think sometimes you have to buy different decks and actually use them to get a feel of them, because people like certain decks for a lot of different reasons. So enough with that. I wrote down a few things that I didn't like about this deck. So I'll start with that. I don't like how big these cards are. I really like shuffling. I'm a tarot reader here on YouTube, and so I use decks a lot. And I hate when they're not very functional. A lot of tarot deck creators who are very artistic, I find that they can really focus on the images of the cards, but they may not really think about the functional use of the cards, especially if they don't come from a background in tarot. And so I didn't like the size of these cards because they're not easy to shuffle for me, and I love shuffling. I like really using my decks. I don't collect them, so it's not very functional. I don't like that. Sometimes also the foil, even though it's very pretty on the cards, as you can see, when you're filming or just looking at the cards, it can be very hard to see. I don't like that at times. I also don't like the very light color font of the card. Sometimes it's just kind of hard to actually see, just like quickly glancing what the card is. And like I said, I like to read cards. I like to know very quickly, like, what is this card? And so I wish that the font color was a little bit darker. Another thing, this was supposed to be a more quote unquote racially diverse deck within this series. There's another deck that's similar to this that's extremely popular, which is also, I think, within this same, you know, category of decks by the same creator. What I didn't like about this deck, I looked at the original deck and then I looked at this deck, and while I like some of the new additions, I don't think there were enough diverse additions for this to be even called a diverse deck. So I kind of thought that they could have just scrapped it all together. My personal views about quote unquote diverse decks is either you do them or you don't. You know, for an example, in this deck, there are not that many actual black people or non-white people who are actually in the court cards, especially as a king or a queen. A lot of the different, quote unquote racially diverse characters that were added, they're in some of the major arcana cards, but they're also in a lot of the minor regular arcana cards. So that's just another tidbit. I just find that a lot of diverse decks can be very trendy, and I'm always questioning, like, what is the true intention of the diverse deck, and whether or not adding just a few characters to a predominantly white deck makes it diverse, especially if they're not actually taking up a lot of space in some of the more powerful cards, especially some of the more powerful court cards. So that's my bit on that. Now, what I love the images of this deck. I absolutely love them. I thought it was a new retelling of some of the images that I just really love. Like, I love the Four of Swords. I love the Strength card. Those are the cards that really stand out. And I think there's like the Star card that I really like as well. One new addition with this card is that the Hierophant card, there's not a person. I just love the retelling of the tarot deck with this particular deck. I find it so easy to resonate with the different cards. I really like reading with this deck. It's just so intuitive and it's just so much fun. I also love the guidebook that came with this deck. I have a history of not liking any guidebook from any deck I've ever had, but I love this guidebook because I feel like it's just fresh, it's new. It doesn't state the traditional same old information about each card. It's very unique, it's very fresh. It allows you to approach the tarot from a different framework. And I found that very refreshing, very fun, and very easy to work with, very intuitive. And I just really love that. And I do like that on some of the cards with multiple people, they all look different. Like, for example, like this Three of Pentacles cards, they all look different. They have the Three of Cups. All of the women on that card, they all look different. I like it because of how it allows me to read those cards sometimes. Not because of the aesthetic purpose of having just different people on the card of different races. I like it for a functional reason. Sometimes I can pick up certain messages when the people look different. And so I really love this deck. I haven't liked a lot of different tarot decks, especially a lot of newer tarot decks. I use the Morgan Greer tarot deck. I like old school traditional tarot decks. But I absolutely love this particular deck. I just loved it. I think it's a great deck for people who don't like the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. I used to have a hard time connecting with that deck, but this deck, it was just so easy and fun to read with. And I just wanted to make a quick review for those who may be interested and wanted to hear some more reviews about it. I won't be doing a flip through. There's plenty of flip throughs online. This is just my personal experience. So thank you so much. You can leave a comment below. Let me know how you've enjoyed it, what you like about it or don't like about it. But that's it. Thank you so much. Bye.